So let's start today. So today we are going to see very important class. Before that, let's say we have our ESXi. On the top of ESXi, we'll be configuring the virtual machine. On the top of virtual machine, we have the operating system. On the top of operating system, we have applications. Okay. So for what is important? Everything is important, but what is the most important thing? See, I'm asking about this. We have the ESXi. We also have virtual machine. We have operating system. We also have application. Okay? Yes. So that application running on the top of operating system, and that operating system is actually running on the top of virtual machines. Okay. So the main thing is for this virtual machine is important. Okay. So what we created till now, we created multiple ESXi, and we created vSphere to manage multiple ESXi server, and we also done networking part. We added multiple NIC cards, and we added like multiple NIC cards because of high availability, and for the network connectivity, not only running the virtual machine up and operational, at the same time must be accessible to the external world, like we are going to access that virtual machine from the outside. Okay. So we also configure the standard switches. We discuss about the policies, and the last session we discussed about a distributed switch, and we have configured all the virtual we have configured for all the virtual machines. Now the next what we are going to talk today. So we are going to talk about today storage part. So before we understand storage, first we need to understand the perspective of virtual machine. Okay. So this virtual machine has two perspectives. Okay. So whenever you have, suppose this is our ESXi, and on the top of that we have a virtual machine, or maybe have operating system on that ESXi. So as per like the perspective of ESXi, virtual machine is nothing but virtual machine is nothing. It's like a file. When you talk about ESXi, so ESXi means ESXi is going to understand this virtual machine as a file, or you can say collection of file, like we have some kind of file like .vmdk file. We also have, suppose, some kind of configuration file, VMX. Okay. So from the ESXi perspective, virtual machine is nothing but file. Okay. But from perspective from operating system, when you talk about the perspective from operating system, virtual machine is nothing but a hardware. Okay. And both are correct. So this operating system feels this is like a hardware. The operating system which I'm running. So the operating system feel like I'm running on the top of the hardware where all the resources I'm using. Okay. But this virtual machine, from ESXi point of view, this virtual machine is like a file. But from operating system point of view, this virtual machine is like a hardware. Okay. Now, if I give you an example, now let's say suppose we have a glass. On the glass, I fill half water and half empty. Okay. So if some saying like half glass water, or someone saying like half empty, so both are correct from their perspective. Okay. If somebody say, okay, this is half empty or half glass is water, both are correct. Okay. So depends on their perspective. We can say both are correct. See, you can mute your mic so that the voice is repeating actually. So if you want to say something, then again you can unmute and you can ask if you have any questions. Okay. So when you talk about like if someone saying half glass water, half glass empty, so from their perspective, both are correct. Okay. Now suppose the thing which we need to understand here. Let's say suppose I store virtual machine file in a local hard disk. I can give you one diagram. This is my ESXi. Sorry, this is a device. On the top of that, we have ESXi installed. And that ESXi actually we install on the top of hardware. This is our hardware. And we have the virtual machine. That virtual machine running operating system. And that operating system running some kind of application. Okay. So now let's say like suppose I store the virtual machine file in a local hard disk. So this is my operating system. So that the file suppose I keep on a local hard disk of a server. So suppose let's say somewhere here we have hard disk and I keep all the files. So the file may be like VMDK or VMX. Okay. So what happens if these hardware get down? Okay. So files are storing in a local storage. Now suppose now you cannot able to run this virtual machine. Okay, because the files are important. Okay. So this ESXi, whatever the ESXi we created, so ESXi server accessing the VMDK file. So we have some file here. So whenever you try to access, so VMDK, we also have VMX. So this ESXi server accessing VMDK or VMX file from the local storage and running this virtual machine. So whenever you power on, automatically it will collect all the files from the hardware, and based on that, the virtual machine is going to power on. Okay. So now what we are going to do, okay. So instead of storing this file on a local storage, okay, so we are going to keep this information. We are going to keep all the files of your virtual machine in a remote storage. Okay. So that is actually called it as a SAN. So what is the benefit? So here we are keeping all the file like VMDK. We have suppose VMX file. Okay. So what is the benefit? Okay. So storing the file in a local hard disk. Okay. So we are storing in the remote storage. The benefit is you can have multiple ESXi which we created already. Like suppose we have one more ESXi here, and that ESXi also accessing the same storage. So what happens if this ESXi get down? Means if something happens to your ESXi, and you can able to whatever the virtual machine is running, this virtual machine you can able to run on the top of some other ESXi. Okay. So it can be run on ESXi too. So why I'm saying this, because like the file which we are storing on like whatever the file we are storing, that is actually we are keeping on a remote storage. Okay. And remote storage can be accessed from all the ESXi. Not only this, okay, let's say we have another ESXi here. So ESXi 2, okay, you may have one more ESXi, you may have one more ESXi. That means, so instead of keeping the files on, one particular local hard disk, so we can actually keep the files of the ESXi virtual machine on a remote storage. So this file can be accessed to all the ESXi. Okay, so we no need to worry about ESXi. We no need to worry about virtual machine. So running properly, or not, like this is our main concern. Yes. Hmm. Yeah. So ESXi is nothing but direct host. Okay. So you have, server on the top of server directly are installing ESXi. So that is your direct server. So we are replacing, but in that we can have multiple virtual machines. Okay. Now the next thing is, like, now you come to know like why we require storage. So if we have a local storage, then why we go with a remote storage? Okay. So now when you talk about storage, we have a lot of categories in storage. Okay. So one of the category we have, suppose something we call it as DAS. One of the name we have SAN, and we also have NAS. Like that, we have multiple types of storage that is available in market. Okay. So now let us understand first of all what is hard disk. Anybody know what is hard disk? So obviously we say hard disk is nothing but a storage device where you can keep all your data. And whatever the data you keep on a hard disk, we call permanent storage. So hard disk is a storage device where you keep all your data. Okay. So we have two types of hard disks available in market. Okay. So one of the hard disks we call traditional hard disk, that is actually called it as, RPM hard disk. RPM. So RPM means rotation per minute. Okay. So this is one kind of hard disk available in market. Okay. So in a market, we all, we have RPM disk that we call it as, spanning disk. And we also have one more type of hard disk that is called SSD hard disk. Okay. Yeah. Solid state drive. It is also like, it is also called flash drive. Okay. So, let's say suppose one we have, RPM, and other one we have SSD. Okay. That is RPM drive is also called, HDD drive, and we have SSD drive. Okay. So HDD has RPM technology, that is, we call it as spanning type, and SSD has, the flash technology, that is actually called a flash drive. Okay. So now when you talk about performance, so which one is best hard disk, RPM or SSD? Okay. So simply you can say SSD. Okay. But SSD is not best for all the time. Why I'm saying this? Okay. We need to understand this. Suppose always I give example for hospital. Okay. Suppose like you have some data that is not very important. I mean, like suppose we are working in a hospital. So in a hospital, like we have two types of data. One of the data you may have like birth certificate, and one of the data you may have like heart patient or X-ray. We have this kind of data. So when you talk about data, so which data is important? Heart patient or birth certificate? So obviously we can say heart patient data is very important. I want to access that data, very quick. I don't want to waste any time. Okay. So based on the scenario, we have to select which hard disk is important. Okay. So when any heart patient come to my hospital, so what we can do? I want to, I want the data of the patient very fast. then we put the data in SSD. Okay. So when any people come for the birth certificate, so comes to me, I can access in normal way. Okay. So now we come to know RPM hard disk give you less performance compared to SSD. Okay. And again, like in HDD, we have some kind of category. Okay. When you purchase like RPM hard disk. Okay. So one of the category in RPM, or you can say HDD hard disk, we have SATA. Normally we use in our personal machine. We also have IDE hard disk, and one more category we have SAS hard disk, SCSI. Okay, that is also RPM hard disk. Okay, but in today's time we actually use SSD hard disk. Okay, so SSD has flash technology. There is nothing like spanning. Means if you see our old hard disk, if you open, you may have one plate where it is going to rotate. It's like one. Previously we have very big tape where you can able to listen to certain song. So like that, you have a small plate on the hard disk. So that is going to rotate where you can keep all your data. Okay. So SSD also, in SSD also we have desktop level as well as data center level. Okay. So when you talk about this SSD hard disk, so SSD is not only for the desktop level. SSD, we have desktop level as well as data center level also we have SSD. Okay. So based on the requirement, we need to use hard disk. Okay. So let me ask you one question. Let's say we have a server. Okay, suppose we have a server, and that server we have a local hard disk. Okay, and I store some data, and for me the data is important. And if you want to make the data high availability, so what you do? What we need to do? What is the solution? We have a Okay, so we have one server. On the top of that, we'll be having one particular hard disk, and here I'm keeping the data. Okay, so I want to access the data. So obviously, we can say now, for the high availability, the solution like we are going to configure some kind of RAID. Yes. Okay. So what happened like if this hard disk, if something happens, so what we can do now? We can able to configure some kind of RAID. So what RAID is nothing but redundant array of independent or inexpensive hard disk. So what it will do, it will not depend on a single disk. Okay. So like the solution we have, we can able to configure the RAID. So what technology I'm using to provide the high availability, that is actually called the RAID. Okay. So what it will do, it will not depend on a single disk. Okay. So if if I apply RAID 1, okay, so what it will do, RAID 1 is nothing but like mirroring. Okay, it will do the mirror. So whatever the data which is stored on the first disk, now the same copy is going to be keep on the second disk. Okay, even though if one hard disk fails, now the same data can still access because of other hard disk. This is actually a feature of RAID. We can even configure, we have a lot of categories in RAID. Okay, so by using RAID technology, we provide high availability to the data. Okay, but now my question is like, suppose if you have if you store the data on a server, we have a same server, and suppose like server, and we have hard disk. So if one hard disk get down, we have another one. Okay, if something happened to this hard disk, okay, we have another one. Okay, but my concern is, suppose what happened if server get down, something happened to your motherboard, something happened to your RAM, something happened to your network. Okay, not network, something happened to your maybe SMPS or something. Okay, so both the hard disks cannot be used. Whatever the data which is available, if something happen automatically, it is unavailable. That is the reason. So instead of storing the data on a local storage, we are going to use a remote storage. Okay, so now what we can do, so instead of keeping all the files of ESXi on a local hard disk on a local storage, so we are going to keep on a remote storage. That is our stand. So that now we are not even depending on server. Okay, even though something happened to the server, again, no need to worry. Now the files I can run on another server. Okay, so that means this concept, we actually call it as DAS. DAS is nothing but directly connected. And when you talk about SAN, this is called storage area network. Okay, that is your remotely connected. So NAS or SAN, both are, we call it as remotely connected. So in DAS, we have one drawback. What is the drawback here? We are storing on the same server. Okay, if that server failed, doesn't matter whatever the rate we have, whatever the rate we use, it is not going to work. Okay, so that's why we are going to buy a SAN technology. Okay, so now let's talk about the SAN. Understand? Yeah. Yes. SAN we call storage area network. So in SAN we have again a lot of categories. One of the category we have FC, fiber channel. This is one category. One of the category we have fiber channel over Ethernet. Fiber channel over Ethernet. And one of the category we have ESXi, and we pronounce SCSI. And ESXi, we have two types of category. I mean, when you talk about like ESXi storage, so ESXi you may have software based, and we also have ESXi hardware based. Yeah. So in SAM, like we have some types of category. First, we have fiber channel. Okay. We also have fiber channel over Ethernet. We have one more like ESXi, that is ESXi SAN. So it may be like hardware or software. So in our case, we are going to go we are going to use a fiber channel or FOSC, but it will give you, I will give you to understand, like in our session, like we try to see practically how we are going to configure ESXi. Okay, in ESXi we are going to see a software base. Okay? So, but in a real time, you may also have the fiber channel. Okay, see practically I cannot show you the concept of the I don't have any scenario here where I can show you all the fiber channel concept. Okay, but see normally technology will be same, but the practical will be some kind of different. Okay, so here now we try to understand about let's some kind of SAN we are going to discuss here. So what is sandbox? So anybody seen SAN? So what is SAN? SAN nothing but we have dedicated box. In that box, we have multiple hard disks. Have you seen this? Anybody? Storage? That is also called disk array. The name of this box we call disk array. So anybody working on that? No one? So in this box, means in this array disk, we have some controller from where we are controlling all this. Okay. So let's say you may have one controller A, controller B, so in this box, like we have controller, and by using this controller, we are going to configure the rate. Okay. So let's say, suppose how many hard disks here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. Let's say, suppose on a storage, I have 12 hard disks. Okay. So if I configure RAID 1 and each hard disk is 1 terabyte. So if I configure, like suppose RAID 1, so what is the size of hard disk you get? How much you get the space if you configure the RAID 1? So I have suppose 12 hard disks and each hard disk is 1 TB. So if you configure RAID 1, so what kind of space you get? Means like when you make a LUN, so what is the size of that LUN you can create? Nobody? If you configure RAID 1, what kind of size you get? The people who did CC and MCC, we have already done this RAID configuration. Hello? Yeah, Mustafa. Hello? Okay, fine. So we are seeing the example for FC SAN. So first I'll try to show you like what is fiber channel SAN. Okay. So if you configure RAID 1, so total if you have 12 hard disks, so when you have 12 hard disks, so you get a LUN maximum of like 6 terabytes. Okay. So if you have 12 terabytes, so when you configure RAID 1, so you may get a space of 6 terabytes. Okay. So so whatever SAN technology we use, we'll see the port. Okay. So like for fiber channel, we have FC port. ESXi, we have ESXi port. Okay. Now suppose if you have 12 hard disks, each one like suppose if you are using 1 terabyte, so total it will be like 12 hard disks, 12 terabyte. Okay. So if you configure RAID 1, so only we'll be getting 6 terabyte. So 6 terabyte we can make one LUN, or we can also create multiple LUNs. Okay. See what is actually a LUN here. Okay. LUN is nothing but logical unit number. Okay. So let's say suppose I can give a simple example from the market. You purchase one hard disk. So that hard disk you can make multiple partitions. Okay. One of the partition you create for the C drive. One of the partition you can create for D or E. Same like here when you when you configure the RAID and whatever the space you get, based on that space you can create multiple LUNs, or you can make one particular LUN. Okay. So now we connect switch on, and the switch also have SSP. Okay. So we have switches here, and these switches we have some SFC ports. So here we are talking about a fiber channel. So what is SFC? I'll show you. We have fiber channel switch and one more. So from here you have one connectivity. From here we have another connectivity. From here we have this connectivity. See, the thing is, this connector will be connecting to this SFP. SFP means small. What is this? SFP, small form factor pluggable. This is the full form. Okay. So small form factor pluggable. Okay. So we have a server, that is our ESXi. You may have multiple ESXi. So right now we have two ESXi. On two ESXi we have SSC. So let's say this is our ESXi 1 and another ESXi. So ESXi 2, and we have SFC here. And this will be available for your HBA. Anybody know HBA card? Okay, so when you talk about fiber optic you cannot connect to direct server. So server should have fiber, HBA card. Okay, so HBA means we are talking about the fiber, fiber cable. If you see today, we have Geo Internet. So when you see the router of Geo Internet, you will not have direct, Ethernet port. Okay, you have first, SSC, that is, HBA port, where you can connect direct fiber cable. Okay. So we have, this our ESXi. Right now we have two. You may have, 20, 30, 40, whatever you have. Okay. Suppose in server, like we find one of the card, HBA. Okay. So HBA, you will find SSC. See, in HBA only, you'll be having option for SSC, means like connector. Okay, like you have RJ45 connector, where you can connect the cable of your Ethernet. Same thing in HBA card, you will find SSC. Okay, so here we are taking just example for FC SAN. Okay, so from ESXi 1, one cable is connecting to the switch. Okay. So from ESXi 1, the cable is connecting to one particular switch, and another, like it is connecting to the second switch to access the LAN. And from switch 1, the cable is here, and from here also the connectivity is there. Okay. So one cable connected to the storage box, and from switch to another also for the high availability. If suppose if one of the port gets down, now still I can able to access with the help of other switch. Okay. So this is the actual environment. Okay. So there is no single point of fail over here. Okay. So here, suppose if this port failed, still I can able to access. I can control with this port. Okay. So here you can see there is no single point of fail over here. Okay. So whatever whatever the LAN we created can be accessed directly, from the ESXi server. So here, instead of keeping the virtual machine file on a local storage, that is on local hard disk, I will keep on network storage. Okay. So now the question is, it is done by VMware admin. Whatever the storage part which I'm showing, everything is done by your VMware admin. Okay. So this is not the responsibility of VMware administrator. We are not going to take care of all the storage part. Okay. So this is going to done by your network storage. Okay. So you may have separate storage admin in a company. You have to cooperate with that. Okay. So whatever learn you want, so just you have to inform him. He give you the learn, and that learn we actually configure in our ESXi. We are going to link this learn to our ESXi so that whatever the files you want, so which learn you want to access from which server, you can able to connect. Okay. So we also have, uh, some kind of, we have a learn, storage learn. So this learn, we having network connectivity. We have block level or file level. So when you talk about the learn, so block level, or there is something called file level also. Okay. So I'll try to draw a small diagram. It's our network, the file system, and the server. So file level is about storage. We have the file system here, the network, and server. So storage. So suppose like we have a storage, that is our LUN, and this LUN having network connectivity. Then we have the file system. So we are creating file system by our own. So then we are connecting, we are connecting to the server. So this scenario we call a block level. Directly we are connecting to the storage. This is a block level. Okay. So when you talk about the file level, let's say here we have storage, that is our learn. We have raw storage. On the storage, we are creating a file system, and then we have a network, then we have server. Okay. So when you talk about performance, the best performance give you a block level. Okay. Even like, but nowadays, the file level also giving you a very good performance. Okay. So if you are using a block level storage, direct, hard disk, directly you're connecting to the hard disk as per, as per our requirement. Okay. So we can format by our own file system. Okay. But, when you talk about file level, okay. So what happened here, already formatted, this is already formatted with your file system. You don't have to control, control to format it. So just we are connecting by a protocol, maybe like NSS or maybe like CIFS. Okay, so these are the file system. Okay, so NFS is actually used in the Linux, or you may have in Unix, and CIFS if you are using a Windows environment. Okay, so this is your block level or file level. And the last thing we need to understand, we have something MPIO, multipathing input output. Okay. Suppose this is your ESXi. You have a network, then your storage. So from here you have one connectivity, from storage also one. Okay. Second type of multipathing, you have your ESXi, you have the network, and you have storage. Okay. So from the server you have two connections. Storage, you are connecting one. One more you have server, network, storage. Okay. So from server you have one connection, and from the storage you have two connections. And the last one, so here only I write, this is our server, this is our network, and our storage. So from the server we have two connections, and from the network we have two connections to storage. Okay. So the best one is this one. Okay. So even though like one of the connections failed from our ESXi, still I can able to access our LUN. Even like one of the connections failed from our from our storage, I can able to connect to the storage by using another connection. Okay. So these are the way how we are going to connect to our storage. Okay. So that is called multipathing input output. Okay. From input we have one connection, output also one. Okay. This is not the best part. Okay. What happens like if this is failed, so you are not going to connect to the storage. Okay. So for connecting to the storage also you need to have some kind of load balance, means you may have some fault tolerance. Okay. So from the server if you have two, and from the network you have only one connection, that means what happens if this fails, so you cannot able to access the storage. So that means, so if you have two connections from server, two connections from the storage, this is your best practice. Okay. So this is how we are going to configure all our ESXi storage environment. Okay. So today, just we talk about the storage categories. Okay. So we have seen the differences between like why actually we go with the remote storage, why not we use a local storage. Okay. So we also discuss about SAN. Okay. So tomorrow we are going to see the practical. So practically, I'm going to show you how we are going to create, how we are going to implement, storage based on our SAN. So we are creating, ESXi storage that is based on the software base. Okay. So hope you understand today. Any question you can ask me.